Sometimes I know in the wellness space, when the doctor comes in, then everyone like buttons up and they clam up. But I really want you to relax. I'm here for you for us to work together. And I was tasked to talk about spirituality today, and wellness. And I had to be fully transparent with you all. It has been a tough week for me. So I'm going to talk mostly about workplace and your wellness and tie in some spiritual themes to that. But definitely as we go through, I'll be asking you to interact in the chat. So please keep your fingers ready to interact. And without further ado, we'll talk a little bit about work and wellness. So what is work wellness? First of all, have you guys ever heard of that term? Is it something you're familiar with? And I want to talk about why work wellness matters, and also how to work, W-O-R-K, to create your own workplace wellness. I thought that was so cute. So some applause for me. And then we'll have your questions and your discussions as well. So why does this matter? When I created EmbraceYOU Weight and Wellness, part of it was born out of what I realized was my dissatisfaction with my work wellness. At the time, I was 60 pounds overweight, 40 pounds overweight, and very, very stressed, working sometimes 80 hours a week, if not more. And it was taking a toll on my total health. So when we think about our overall wellness, often people only focus on the physical aspect, like how do you look? How do you feel? But there's so much more to it. So wellness composes of at least 8 components. Some people even find 12 components of it. But I tend to think about these 8 when I'm assessing patients. And I have 7 of them listed here. So thinking about the total person, and occupational wellness definitely came to the forefront during the COVID-19 pandemic, because a lot of us, we were either working on the front lines, and even if you weren't working on the front lines, your work had shifted dramatically. And that did have major implications on all other aspects of your wellness: social, intellectual, your physical, and your environmental. And so that is why it's very important. So what is occupational wellness? So different people think about it different ways, but the definition that I like, and I've kind of put together from the different sources that I've read, is your perceived integration. I like the term integration, not balance, because work-life balance is a myth and it's hard to juggle, right? But integration, how well do you intertwine work and leisure, and so that it enhances your health, your sense of purpose, and that you feel rewarded by what you're doing. And the rewards go beyond just financial gain, because sometimes, and I certainly have lived both ways, right? Where you have that dream job, or so you think it is, and your bank account looks nice, but your wellness account, like how you feel, how your overall life is flowing together, is totally depleted. And then the same way, I've also been where I'm doing what I love, but it may not have that financial reward. So really thinking about what are the rewards for you. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So I wanted you guys to type in the chat, what is your opposite of work wellness? The opposite of work wellness for you. Just one word answers, doesn't have to be fancy. You can even put an emoji. I'm an emoji lover. Burnout, yes, Amy says. Stress, yes, Mara, definitely. Mara, stressed out, says Lee. Anxiety, for sure. Yes, all of these things. So the opposite of work wellness. So yeah, I love alliteration. So you're going to see, so I categorize them a little bit. Yes, lack of balance, says Monica. So sorry. So I like alliteration. So I like S's. So I went with S because stress definitely is the biggest one, and we're going to focus the most on that. But the opposite of work wellness, sedentary lifestyle. Like I see a lot of that, a lot of jobs, and especially that seem to drain people. You're just sitting all day in front of the computer. You're sitting inside all day. You're not getting that vitamin D. Soul draining. You don't enjoy what you do. Your Monday morning comes around and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I have to do this again. And that negative energy just really takes a toll on you. And then dissatisfaction. It's not in alignment with who you are, with your purpose, what you want to do. And then certainly stress. And feeling high levels of stress, which can lead to other mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, and even more serious ones. So when we look at employee work stress, the American Institute of Stress has an annual workplace survey, and they found 80% of employees feel stressed at work. And I don't know how many people can identify with that. And of the 80%, about 45% said they were extremely stressed. And more than half of people needed better stress coping techniques. And why this matters is because just like I showed that beautiful ring to me, which to me represents our wellness integration, when one thing is out of whack, it's like a pie, right? It takes a little bit more out of something else. And we see that impact in different parts of our health. So what's the impact of work stress? Have you guys noticed anything in your own lives? Have you seen things of what happens when you're stressed with work and everything? So yeah, so I see Luann says overwhelmed, strained relationships. Lane said, yes, less productivity, more sick days. Absolutely. The literature shows all of that for sure. Yes. And so let's see. Overeating, inability to sleep well, Dana says, definitely. So all of these are things that we see. Just give me a second. And so I'll start talking. So yeah, so definitely from a health perspective, it takes a toll. So people earlier listed the opposite. So mood swings, fatigue, memory, body aches, having pain, insomnia, sleep disturbance, gut health, digestive problems. It affects your immune system, heart health, and weight gain. And when we tie all of this together, so in the Embrace program, they teach, because I'm a super nerd, guys. I like to call myself a cool nerd, but I love showing these diagrams and all that the neurotransmitters and things like that. So I said, they always warn me when I'm doing these public presentations, don't pull those out. But I would be remiss if I didn't say how all this is tied together, is because a lot of times people think of stress as just a feeling, but biochemically it has a major impact in the body. And you probably heard the buzzwords cortisol, so our stress hormone, and all of that ties in with the adrenal glands, also with our noradrenaline and those in norepinephrine. So those neurotransmitters that really send signals all throughout the body, not just in the mind, but it also sends signals to our heart. It sends signals to our gut. It sends signals to our immune system. And it's so important to keep that in mind, because we see the physical manifestations of it. And certainly for me, who is an obesity specialist, I specialize in the science of body fat and how it's regulated. I see that a lot in the clients and the patients I deal with. So one particular person that I worked with through the pandemic, when I did his circle of integrated circle, his occupational wellness was way off because of the fact of the changes with COVID. He went from working downtown where he commuted every day, and he actually enjoyed the commute and enjoyed the social interaction and getting up and moving around. He was sitting at his desk at home most of the time. It was right by the kitchen. He was going in and grabbing more food. The stress of also having a co-parent and do homeschool and everything, it was leading to more snacking. It was also leading to sleep deprivation. And the physical manifestation of this was increased pounds, right? Because he had a genetic susceptibility to gaining weight. So one of the main things that we did was working on targeting each of these things and seeing how could we improve his work wellness. In the area of spirituality, he wasn't a religious person, and that's fine. Spirituality is not a religion. It's about your connection with your higher sense of purpose and higher self. So he wasn't religious, but he wasn't active. He didn't have anything centering, anything grounding him. And that was tying into the high stress levels that he was having at work and in the other aspects of his life. So we worked on optimizing all of this. And I'll share a little bit about how you can do that too. So here we go with my cool little thing, my cool little mnemonic. How do we work to create work wellness? How do we work to create work wellness? So let's start with the W. So number one, what is your why? What's your why? And I will tell you a little bit about my why. Like, how did I get here? How did I get here? Because Dr. Kogan knows me. Dr. Kogan, for full disclosure, it's hard for me to even call him Michael because he was my professor. So he was my professor when I was a med student, then a resident at GW, and then a chief resident. And so now being on the other end, it's so funny. But when I was in that stage, I thought that I was going to grow up and be just like Dr. Kogan because I wanted to be in academic medicine. I wanted to be a professor.
You're going to be a lot better. That's all good.
I did. That was my dream, right? I was going to be a GW lifer and just stay there and do things. But I ended up having my first child in my last year of residency when I was during my chief resident year, and having my baby shift all my priorities. I can honestly say it just put into alignment what was most important to me in life and what I wanted to prioritize. And so I wanted to create a lifestyle in which that, yes, I could give my patients the best care, work wholeheartedly for them, but also that I could be a mom in the way that I view motherhood. And so that took me on a 7-year journey. At that time, I was in nowhere near mental, physical, spiritual shape to do that. Like I said, I was carrying around 40 pounds of extra physical weight, but along with that weight was poor stress management, people pleasing, and lots of poor coping habits for my stress. And so it really took the journey of, yes, releasing the physical weight, but also learning to love myself, to prioritize myself, and really recenter with why I do what I do. So again, I was working at a busy practice. We ended up moving down to Richmond, Virginia, because first I thought, of course it's DC. I got to get out of DC. I need to go back. I'm from Atlanta originally. I need to go to a slower pace, and that's going to change everything. But that wasn't the answer. The answer was really connecting with my why, my purpose. How do I want to help people? How do I want to serve them? What is the best way to integrate both? And so that led me to working on the COVID front lines at the nursing facility in 2020. I also launched my practice, EmbraceYOU Weight and Wellness, because while I was working there and really seeing people lose their life to COVID, I realized that this pandemic started even before we actually had the viral pandemic. We had an obesity pandemic, we had a stress pandemic, we had so many other things, a racial pandemic, and all of it collided at that time. And so I wanted to do something more than just trying to save lives on the front line. I wanted to prevent. And so that's when I launched EmbraceYOU Weight and Wellness. And I was able to lead 3 groups of people, about 25 participants, to the optimal wellness during the pandemic. So I want you to think about, what's your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because that's going to help you with that work stress. Now, the other thing is the O, is organization. And I will tell you, this used to be a curse word for me. But I will say, when you are trying to decrease those stress levels, finding ways to create order in your life, and it doesn't have to look like anyone else's, is so important. Okay, so where are your pain points? What's causing you stress? And I know for a lot of people that I work with, and even for myself, when I started my wellness journey 7 years ago, food was one of them. Now, back then I used to think, okay, I need to meal prep, and I would take one Saturday, which I could not really spare, and come up with all the food and lay it down for the week. I didn't buy third Wednesday, I was tired of eating what I had made Saturday. So that is when I realized it wasn't about prepping like anyone else. It was creating a solution strategy. And so that's one of the things we talk about in Embrace You, because it's so important. So where are your pain areas? What do you need to organize? You need to go back to what your mom had you do. Lay your clothes out at night so that you don't have to run around in the morning. Do you need to set a bedtime? We underappreciate the importance of sleep. Sleep helps reset all of those neurotransmitters that we're talking about, the cortisol, the norepinephrine, all of that is reset with our circadian rhythm. So yes, grown folks, we need a bedtime. So really making sure you lean into that. Now, R is where I'm going to spend the most time is, do you regularly release your stress? Because the issue is that a lot of times we hold on to that stress. We just keep going stress, 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 stress. Like, or do you have a regular release? So in the chat, I want you to type, do you regularly release your stress? Minutes, hour, daily, or monthly? How often are you releasing your stress? Or are you just holding on to it? Oops. Okay. Let's see. Daily. Oh, I love that. So what are some things that people are doing for your stress daily? That's fantastic. Okay, Rick says not enough. Yeah, you know, I used to be one of those people that just would hold on to it until I would just practically burst. So I love that people are daily. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do. So minute. So you have a minute, because a lot of times part of when we're stressed, especially with work-related stress, we have so much piled on and doing. So meditation and walking, dancing, breathing, laughing, singing, chopping wood. Yes, oh my gosh, knitting, meditation, Reiki. But yeah, I'm talking to the Integrative Medicine group. Of course, you guys are on top of this. Fantastic. Feeding. So yes, I may be preaching to the choir, right, Bar? So, but so in the minute, so one of my favorite things to do and to teach, I love everything that you guys have said, and breathing is so important, those breaths. And one of the things that I teach people to do in Embrace You is to release and embrace. For every time we need to embrace or take on something, there needs to be an exchange, a release. So if you only have a minute to release that stress, I encourage you to try this. So for instance, if you're feeling overwhelmed, which someone listed in very common emotion when you're busy and dealing with work stress and trying to cultivate work wellness, right there at your work, you can say, I release overwhelm, I embrace control, I release stress, I embrace calm. So welcoming in whatever it is that you want to take in. Now, hourly, what you should be doing, another minute exercise is laughter. That instantly boosts our endorphins. It helps with regulate those neurotransmitters. Hourly, you should be getting up from your workspace at least once an hour. And if I ask now, I won't put everyone on blast, but how often do we do that? Because I definitely work with people, and myself, I know, I see Bara, she's covering her face. People, like 3 hours is the average amount of time that I hear that people sit at their desk before getting up, but you really must get up at least once an hour, okay? And even if in 10 minutes per hour is the recommended amount, but I encourage everyone to at least just start with 1 minute, because 1 minute is better than none. Now, daily, you all mentioned quite a few things. Oh, wow. I use an app that tells me get up every 20 minutes. Wow, Janet, that's That's powerful. Okay. So from the obesity literature, we just say once an hour for 10 minutes, but that's great if you can do that. And daily, you all listed wonderful movements and things that you can do. So making sure that you're creating an outlet at least once a day to run, walk, be outdoors, get at least 10 minutes of sunshine, 10 minutes of that vitamin D activation really does help with your mood and everything. Doing activities you love. So tapping into your creativity. One of the things I started doing again during the pandemic was writing poetry, and I hadn't done that in years. So painting. So whatever it is that sparks joy for you. And I'll find now during the times that I'm really stressed, I'll write a poem. So just something to counteract all of the negative energy that's in your body, doing something positive. Prayer, meditation. So all of these things are important. Setting set time for it. That's one of the things we did with my the client that I mentioned, whose occupational stress was really high and occupational wellness was off, finding a centering practice. And he found for him just getting up first thing in the morning, being outdoors and going for a walk, listening to the birds was something that really was calming and centering for him. And he felt that was a spiritual or grounding practice for him. So it's just so important to figure out you and what works for you. Now, monthly, a lot of us wait. Well, I'll confess, before I even tell about other people, I'll confess, we went 3 years without a vacation. Whew. So that is a long time. So now monthly, I try to create something that we enjoy to do. And it doesn't have to be the trip to the Bahamas or some remote, faraway place, but just finding things locally. Maybe it is just spending a day down at Rock Creek Park and eating outside, something that you do once a month that brings joy and that feels different from the norm, because all of these are important to release your stress level. And I love what's going on in the chat. I see so many amazing things. So you guys are talking about chair yoga and walk the halls through the through your office, and see, that is a major thing. So just moving, you know, people are really missing that with this change during the pandemic of working from home versus working from the office. You know, walking down the halls, that's physical wellness, but it's also social wellness as you greet people that you know, and that interaction as well. So it's so important. So, so the K is to remind you to keep trying. Okay, this is not a one and done, especially if you have these patterns where you're used to overworking, you're used to stressing yourself out. It's not going to just happen overnight. You're going to have to keep working at it. And if setting that monthly goal of going somewhere or doing a big stress release activity is too much, then just start with the minute. And if the minute is too much, start with seconds, but start where you are, use what you have, do what you can do, right? That's what Arthur Ashe says. And so I encourage you to do the same thing. So, yes, so Kay is, do you keep trying? So just keep trying, keep striving. Another true story about this road to occupational wellness, overall wellness for me is I was so busy with work. One of the key things, I was not exercising. I was not incorporating movement, as I like to call it, into my life. I thought, I just don't have time. I don't have time. I'm too stressed. I got to chart. I got to do all this stuff when I get home. And so once I started being kind to myself, once I started being loving to myself, I realized I was being completely unrealistic. There was no way I was going to work 14-hour days, come home with a 2-year-old, and then try to do a 1-hour boot camp workout. It just wasn't going to happen, right? But what could I do? Well, maybe while he's eating dinner, I can pop in that DVD, and yes, it was a DVD back then, a DVD, and I can do a 10-minute like rock and body workout. And really that's how it started. Then on the weekends, I started training for my first 10K. And so I ran that 10K in 2015 and kept going. And now I've run a half marathon, a marathon, and run over 4,000 miles. So you never know where it will go. I say all that to say, you just never know where it will lead. late, but it started really small. So start small and just keep trying, keep going, because it will all pay off. So just to summarize our discussion points, we talked about what is work wellness. And so just in the chat, if anyone wants to volunteer, what is work wellness? And let me see if I taught you guys something. The chief resident in me always wants to make sure that I teach you so that you guys got something out of it. but so just as you guys are typing, or if you don't want to type, that's fine. I guess this is a mindfulness experience. But just to remember, work wellness is for you what makes you feel good, what makes you feel optimally integrated in your life, that it's promoting helpfulness or healthfulness in your life. And it's also that you feel that you're fulfilling your passion and you're feeling rewarded. Absolutely. Monica says having purpose. Yes, that's a great summary. And why does your work wellness matter? Why does it matter to you? And it matters from a health and wellness perspective because of all the things that are going on in your body when you are under high stress, when you're under chronic high stress. But also figuring out for you the impact that it's having on your life. Someone says strained relationships. When our work wellness is off, it throws off our balance in so many other places as well. And then how can you work, W-O-R-K, to create work wellness? So we talked about going back to your why, remembering your why and your purpose and connecting with that. Organization. It sounds so hard, but it's important to organize. And it doesn't have to be like what you see on the TV or on your Pinterest board. None of that. Is what creates a sense of order, a sense of calm for you, and figuring that out. And then just remembering to release that stress, not just when you go on vacation or working up to that annual vacation, but releasing it in the minutes, in the hour, in this day, in the day, and then certainly for the month as well. And K, to keep trying, guys, keep trying. So yes, so Luann said, this is excellent inspiration and information. Start with what inspires the life energy in you and organize and move from that center. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Luann. Very well said. So, so at this point, I just want to open it up. If you guys have any questions, any discussions, this is how you can connect with me. I want to remind you to release and embrace. So release, I'm stressed out. Say, I embrace, I have effective ways to release my stress. You have the power. It's within you and you can find ways to do it. I did write a book, Embrace You, Your Guide to Transforming Weight Loss Misconceptions into Lifelong Wellness. And chapter 7 is about releasing stress, right? Embrace, I embrace your stress. So your positive stress relief. And so that's what it's about. But thank you guys so much for the opportunity to share with you, share my journey, and to pour into your journey. And with that said, I'll open it up if there's any questions or comments. Thank you, Nadia. I appreciate the heart.
Thank you, Sylvia. This was
Thank
wonderful.
You. Thank you.
So there's a lot of chat, but I think they're not necessarily questions. They're just different points. So feel free to unmute, or if you rather prefer typing questions. Sorry, I'm looking weird. My battery ran out on a computer, so I had to switch to the phone. That's why it's like, it's actually a lot harder on a phone to run the chat. It's like back and forth.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So many
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Okay. I was interested in your obesity, the aspect of your obesity in practice. And how does that actually work? Do you give a person a program? And one of the things that I wanted to specifically ask, I think some of the obesity issue has a lot to do with people's relationship with food. And even for me, as much as I know about everything and how to do everything, my relationship with food and the psychological thing, even from childhood, seems to be an issue. And I don't find many people that deal with the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And do you look at that, the psychological aspects of food and obesity in your practice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my whole philosophy and principle, which is the way that I think we should, is to get to the root of it. And so, for too long, we've looked at obesity as calories in versus calories out, but it's energy in versus energy out. And energy is anything that's both biological, medical, psychological, mindset, environmental, movement wise, and those habits and those social relationships and occupational wellness. So I deal with every aspect of it, and I help the individual figure out what are your controllable weight loss triggers and then your uncontrollable weight gain triggers. And then we work to create a strategy in each of those domains to come up with the most thorough plan possible. And we start by focusing on whatever the main issue is. So I do a lot of work with childhood trauma, childhood fat shaming, childhood food relationships, and kind of coming up with strategies and tools for breaking those habits. And I also talk about in the book as well. The second chapter is identifying your weight gain triggers. So really getting deep and seeing what are the over 100 things, and there's more than 100 things really that we know that contribute to weight, to energy balance. What is it that you have, and how can you create a strategy to address it?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, but that's what I do. So feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Misha, do you have anything COVID Q&A related you want to say, or?
Well, I see there's no questions. My only, it's a philosophical point. So last couple of weeks, I have started to sort of be very comfortably relaxed. But I think within the last couple of days, more like a lot this past whole week, I think we potentially heading back to spikes come fall. So I think my hope that we will transition this meetings from COVID to post-COVID is premature. So the only quick update I have is the most recent study I have seen saying that the Pfizer vaccine, I don't know why they keep looking just at Pfizer. I'm not sure what's with Moderna. The efficacy against Delta is dropping. So it's now down to about 65%, down from 85 about a month ago. So, and there have been cases, multiple cases of primarily healthcare workers, but also other people becoming positive after being vaccinated, and everybody is having Delta variant. So I'm crossing fingers that it's a temporary effect, but I think we do have to potentially start preparing ourselves mentally for a flare, in another uptick in cases. So, and also definitely we're not out of the woods. If you kind of look at the statistics all over the world, and even in our country, you see that sure, there's downward trend, but it's not quick downward. It's kind of a slow down trajectory. But if it continues like this, we already have millions of people who died from it, and it'll be a lot more. It's a word of caution. I don't think I've been getting more and more relaxed, especially when I'm outside, but I think I'm going to start paying way more attention, and I recommend everybody do the same. Masks when you can, if it's not too complicated, and be more vigilant. That's my only thing for today.
It looks like you have some questions and comments in the chat box, Misha.
Wait, okay, hold on. I'll try my best here. I'm not used to handling phone on Zoom, that's why. All right. Is the CDC tracking? Yeah, they are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so New York Yankees have had quite a few breakthrough cases already. Yeah, so J&J is initially, sorry, Johnson & Johnson vaccine, it was initially less efficacious to begin with, so I guess we would anticipate it to be even less effective against the Delta, although I personally have not seen statistics on this one. It's the least common out of 3, so, and then the 4th vaccine just came in, and there's been a lot of for some reason, it's not really enough out there. It should be more, in my opinion. I think it's a Novavax. It's actually a pretty important vaccine, especially it's coming in, and they potentially will include the Delta variant in it since it's fresh. It just came out. So I will keep an eye on that. So I'll give an update in upcoming weeks on that. No, kids are not more susceptible to Delta. I think that everybody more susceptible to Delta just because it's more virulent strain, but I don't think that somehow it preferentially attacks kids. All right. Yeah, cases have been going up. No, not in over 40 states. I think that's correct, Benita. I don't think that may be for this past week statistics. If you know more, you can enlighten us with a couple of sentences, but I think we are kind of encroaching on Mara's time. So maybe Benita can say a word if she wants to, and we'll go tomorrow. And then if anybody have questions, now that I'm not worried about my battery anymore, hold them to the end of the meeting.
Alrighty. Is Bonita speaking?
No, I think she just put that that's what news reporting, and I agree with that. So, Mara, you're up.
The news
I'm up.
reporting.
Okay.
They've been saying that over 40-something states, 45 states, etc. But that's also CNN, and CNN does tend to get a little fear-mongerish. But that's what the news is reporting. There are some areas, such as California, Florida, etc., that are now reinstating their mask guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. So thank you, Dr. Sylvia. So we just had this amazing presentation on how to release and let go of our stress. And then we got stressed again about COVID. So I'm going to hopefully help you to maybe let go of that stress now. So.
That's intentional. It's very good to keep practicing, right? Get that stress resilience practice up.
So, what I loved and what Dr. Sylvia does a lot with is spirituality. And spirituality is such a key component in whatever way you wish to define it for yourself, whether it's religious or not religiously oriented. But the mind, body, spirit experience is holistic in the fact that your body is talking to you all the time. Your mind, of course, is likewise giving you messages. And your spirit is. So it's about working to align all 3 of those with the messaging, because all 3 want you to have success and be able to have a balanced and full life. So I want to do an experiential training today just to help introduce you to working with the mind, body, spirit. So here's what I'd encourage you to do. Hopefully it won't be about COVID, but if you can grab a piece of paper, and we're going to engage our spirit in particular today. And so what I encourage you to do is think about an issue, a person, a situation that's somewhat problematic to you in your life. We have great and amazing wisdom within us. So we have the ability to truly trust what is taking place inside of us rather than all of the things that are happening externally. All we need to do is take some time to listen to our mind, body, and spirit. So here's what I'd like you to do now that you hopefully have your piece of paper, is go ahead and just write on that piece of paper everything about this problem, everything that you're seeking insights to, any type of feeling that's coming up for you related to the problem. Just go ahead and take a moment to write that all down on the piece of paper. few more moments with it. And when that feels complete, what I'd love for you to do is take the piece of paper, go ahead and fold it up. This one might be a little big, but that's okay. But fold it up so it's nice and tiny and can fit into your hands like that. So it's nice and tiny and it fits right into your hands in a comfortable way, whatever that might be. Okay, is everyone with me on that? Okay, good. Okay, thank you. All right, so now what we're going to do is a bit of a meditation, and I'm going to take you into this meditation, releasing some of that stress, allowing you to connect in. Here's the one thing that's so important. You know, your body is sending you signals all the time for things that you should be aware of. So it's a team player with you. So as we do this meditation, I encourage you just to be aware of what's showing up for you on your body. Take a moment to notice or sense how things are showing up mentally for you. So are you feeling nervous? Are you feeling tense? Or do you feel expansive as we go through this meditation? And then finally, we're going to allow for just a few moments at the end of the meditation for you to be able to get whatever comes through. And so when I work with clients, things that might come through are more sensations in the body, more feelings. They might get a quick answer to the problem. They might get images or colors. All of that matters. So whatever it is, go ahead and write that down because that's there for more exploration or helping to provide more of the answers to what's taking place for you. Okay, so if we're all ready, I want you guys to get comfortable. Please make sure you're in a chair that's secure for this meditation so that you can deeply relax. If you want to lie on a bed or even be on the floor so that you can be secure, that's great too. And then keep that piece of paper in your hands so that we can get some insights to your problem. Okay, so when you're ready, just gently close your eyes. Fully coming into the present moment. And so bring your awareness to your breath. And as you breathe in, I want you to breathe in as you're able all the way down to your belly. When you exhale, it's exhaling slowly, slowly releasing, letting go. Our breath helps anchor us in the present moment. So continuing to breathe in and out. Wonderful. So bring your awareness down to your feet. As you're able, go ahead and squeeze the muscles of your feet together. Release and letting go. And come up to your calves. And as you're able, go ahead and squeeze the muscles of your calves. Release, letting go. Come up to your thighs and tighten the muscles of your thighs. Release and let go. Go ahead and take another deep, cleansing breath in. Gently and slowly releasing, letting go. And then bring your awareness to your lower abdomen and go ahead and squeeze the muscles of your lower abdomen. And release, letting go. Come up to your shoulders, move your shoulders up to your ears and back down and around. We hold the weight of the world on our shoulders. There's no need to do that, so let it go, let it go. Good, and so take another deep cleansing breath in. Slowly and gently releasing, letting go, letting go. Good. And then bring your awareness up to your jaw and just gently move your jaw to the left and to the right. Releasing, letting go. And then up to your forehead and tighten the muscles of your forehead and release. And one more time, another deep cleansing breath in. Slowly and gently releasing, letting go. And again, just taking a moment to sense or notice anything showing up on the body, where it is, what the sensation might be. Just being curious and aware. And then as you continue to breathe in and out, I want you now to use your imagination and imagine yourself in your favorite place out in nature, wherever that might be. Take a moment to bring that to mind and allow yourself to be transported there. And when there, I want you to find yourself in a very comfortable chair, being able to fully enjoy where it is that you're in nature. Notice that. Take a moment now to feel any sensations. So does this place feel hot or cold? Do you notice a light breeze passing by? What are the sensations that you feel? And next, bring in any smells. What do you smell? Is there a flower that you smell? What else? Identify the smells. And next is hearing. What is it that you hear? Maybe you hear birds chirping, or the wind rustling through the leaves. But take a moment now to really listen. Identify what it is you hear. And then finally, take a moment to look around at your beautiful and favorite place in nature. What is it that you're seeing? Identify the colors. Notice too if there's anything that seems unique or different that's trying to get your attention. Bring that fully into your awareness. And so you want to take another deep cleansing breath in. Slowly and gently releasing and exhaling. And next, we want to call in any spiritual insights we can gain. So from the top of your head, I want you to feel the warm sunlight. Really feel that. Entering in through the top of your head. Allow it to begin to circle down, being fully absorbed into the brain. Feel that warmth. Feel the connection. All the way down your spine, into the heart, into your gut where you have gut instincts. All the way down. Really feel that warmth. Feel the sunlight, see the sunlight entering in. You might even sense or noticing cascading all around you. You can trust in this. And so we now want to ask our body, mind, and spirit to provide us with insights to this problem. And take a moment over the next few moments to be aware of all the messaging that comes through for you. So we want to once again feel that warm sunlight all around us. Take a moment to express your gratitude to your mind, body, and spirit for any messaging or insights that were provided to you. And if you didn't receive anything, you can meditate on this for 5 to 10 minutes until more insights are provided every day. And so now just take another deep cleansing breath in. Gently and slowly releasing, letting go. Beginning to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. And when you're ready, gently beginning to open your eyes. And it would be wonderful for you to quickly jot down any insights, whether it showed up physically for you, whether you felt some feelings or had some thoughts about things, or had images or colors. And I hope people receive some insights today. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Mara, for this deep dive, as usual. We do have a minute or two. The last question that was directed to me, Linda, I'll take it up for the next week. So I'll take a look at the comparison between Novavax and other vaccines. I don't think there's point answering now, as we only have a couple of minutes left. But maybe people can either unmute or put in the chat how they're feeling, what they've experienced. We can share it that way before we go back into the heat of summer.
I feel lighter. I'll talk. Yeah. That was really like, especially you said the weight off your shoulders, just the release. I love the combination of the mind, body, spirit, and just going through and doing that muscle release with the breathing. So very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like Sheila has her hand raised.
Yes, I just want to ask a question. During the pandemic, they were saying that obesity, people who had obesity were more susceptible. They were getting sicker, blah, 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 blah. Did you find that to be the case in your practice?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had two because I was working on the front lines and actually with people who were very sick and had obesity and a lot of the other conditions that can that worsen the COVID. I'm still recovering from Mara, so my brain, like, I'm still in my parasympathetic system. I'm like, oh wait, switch it on. I need to come back. Okay, so but yeah, so definitely yes. But even in my practice, where my wellness practice, my weight and wellness practice, I did have one client who did get COVID, who meets the criteria for having obesity. But what I like to hope, though of course I don't have actual objective evidence, it was beneficial that she had already started her wellness journey, so she wasn't hospitalized like a lot of the patients that I was seeing on the front lines or who had to be intubated and things like that. But definitely I saw it.
All right, thank you.
But I think that the best thing to do, which is now what we're doing, which is again why I do what I do, is because even if you have the risk factors for it, doing what you can control and trying to optimize your wellness is so important. And it's not just, as we talked about today, it's not just food and it's not just exercise, but it is getting to the root issue of everything that is throwing your energy balance off and dealing with that mind, body, soul connection. So you're in the right place is what I want to say, and definitely connect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, with that, we just over. Thank you, everybody. Stay cool. Enjoy. I personally will be doing some mushroom hunting. I'll report on outcomes of that. It's apparently like the best time if you do like that. Right now, you can get some really good mushrooms if you know your mushroom places, which don't ask me where they are. It's like
I was just about to
telling
ask, of course.
It's like you can't ask the fisherman where they. Yeah, that's a prohibited question. But all right, everybody, stay
Have a great
safe.
weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mara and Sylvia again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.